Hi, I'm Joanna Capps, a program specialist with National Endowment for the Humanities. Since the 1970s, NEH has supported and collaborated with National History Day, including in the development of free resources found on EdCitement, our educational website for K-12 humanities teaching. Under the American Rescue Plan, NEH awarded more than $87 million in relief funds to cultural and educational institutions all around the country. And so for this year's Ask an NEH Expert video series, we've invited history professionals from a few of those institutions to talk about some of the skills that they use every day, the same skills that you'll need for a successful National History Day project.
The New York Public Library has many tens of millions of archival items across its three research centers: the Stephen A. Schwarzman Building in Midtown Manhattan, the Library for the Performing Arts, and the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. And these three have different strengths to their collections, depending on your area of focus. But finding something amidst the tens of millions of items can be a challenge. For those who are accessing them remotely, the digital collections is obviously essential. And we're really excited that this constantly growing collection of digital items is now up to nearly 1 million items that are available online to anyone, anywhere in the world. We're adding to the digital collections as a means of preservation for things that are fragile or disintegrating. It's another means of preservation, but also, of course, primarily for access. That by being able to read and see and engage with these historical items, ultimately, the idea is that these become part of our collective public knowledge, and they help you to make new knowledge, make new connections and new works. So that's our goal, and the collections are growing, and they're reaching a really enormous audience. We have 77 million page views annually. If you are doing research just for your school, educational purposes, something like that, every single thing that's on the digital collections is free to use in any way you see fit.
The Center of the West, as I may have mentioned earlier, is 5 museums and 1 research library. The collection is vast. It is massive. So our Cody Firearms Museum, if you're looking for things about technology, firearms, and the American West in particular, but in American history, that's your place. We have the Buffalo Bill Museum, which looks at not only the life of Buffalo Bill Cody, but his Wild West, which he took all over the world, the development of the town of Cody and all the surrounding communities in the area, and in some ways, by extension, the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, because that's right in our backyard. In the Whitney Museum of Western Art, we have a really fantastic collection. We have preeminent Western artists like Frederick Remington and Thomas Moran, that you might have heard of before. But we also have very wonderful collections of contemporary artists, native artists, in fact, such as Robert Martinez and Ben Pease. We also have a Draper Museum of Natural History that really focuses on the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. The Plains Indian Museum explores cultures and traditions of Plains peoples, as well as contemporary issues for the Plains peoples. And last but not least, the McCracken Research Library. It is a fantastic archive and special collections library that holds thousands and thousands of archival materials, such as journals, historic photographs, manuscripts. It has the records from Buffalo Bill's Wild West, and just all kinds of things that you would probably love enjoying touring. So that if you're somewhere, let's say on the East Coast, and you're not going to be able to come to Cody, Wyoming in the near future, this is where our digital and online collections come in. They're very important to us. So we do have multiple online formats and databases. So we have an online collections database. If you wanted to, let's say you wanted to look up Plains Indian teepees, you could find all kinds of images of objects, historic photographs, all sorts of things by looking through our collections database. The McCracken Research Library also has a finding guide set up online, so you can click through that and look through the various collections that they have.
But there are a special set of things that are in the public domain where you really can do anything. I mean, you could, make them your album cover and sell them. So commercial purposes or anything, those things that are in the public domain. And right at the top of our digital collections page, as soon as you put your cursor in the search bar, there's a little drop down that appears that offers you the opportunity to search only for things in the public domain if you wish. So if you like, you can toggle that on and off and understand what you're looking at and the kind of copyright restrictions related to them.
So the museum in itself has millions of collections, millions of pieces, objects, cultural belongings in our collections. We're a natural history museum as well as a cultural and heritage history museum. And when we speak about collections, there are two different sections. As a director of education here, I have a collection that's about 13,000 different objects. And there's, again, as I was stating, across the museum, millions. Digitally, we have collections available on our website that can be accessed by region, that can be accessed by different time periods. And there's a number of different ways to kind of chop that up to get what you need. And again, a lot of it is focused on indigenous populations across the world. Within our Heritage, Arts, and Culture department, which we engage with very deeply, there are collections spanning across the many tribes that have inhabited the lands up here, Alaska. There's a lot of different collections from the continent of Africa, as well as Asia, and thinking about the Pacific Rim and the Pacifica in general. All of those can be accessed online. And again, there's a very easy web tool that can be used through our website to pin down whatever region, time period, or specific object or cultural belonging that you would be looking for.
My number one piece of advice is that while digital search and even the library search portals are helpful and a great place to start, they're not sufficient. There's nothing that can replace talking with someone who's knowledgeable about the collections. It's almost like when you're speaking with someone, it's an extended search. It's a search that goes back and forth and involves questions and dialogue. And that extended person-to-person search is way deeper and more nuanced than an algorithm can provide. And also the librarians know the library, they know the collections. So you can almost always get to something that is going to enhance your project more quickly and more effectively, and sometimes surprisingly in ways that you didn't anticipate and could never have figured out on your own, by talking to someone who's about your project, talking to someone who's knowledgeable about the collections. And the library has this really robust entry point that is just Ask NYPL. And there's a live chat version, there's a phone version, there's an email us version. There's a lot of different ways to get that process started.